Third party.
Much, Mr. Speaker. My question is for the Premier. The final report into the mercury contamination in Grassy Narrows was released publicly a week and a half ago. It says that high levels of mercury in Grassy Narrows Wabigoon River suggest there may be an ongoing source of mercury in the system. The government has had this report, Speaker, since April. Will the Premier tell Ontarians whether the government is aware of any sources of ongoing mercury contamination in Grassy Narrows?
Thank you. Premier.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I know the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs is going to want to comment, but I had the opportunity to attend the beginning of a meeting that the Minister had with scientists from the Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change and from his own ministry, Mr. Speaker, with the Chief from Grassy Narrows, and so I had the opportunity to meet with the Chief and one of his colleagues. And, Mr. Speaker, we are very serious about looking at the recommendations in the report, making sure that we are doing everything in our power. And I had an opportunity to talk to Chief Fobister and to say to him that, you know, when I went to Grassy Narrows and I talked to the scientists about the mercury that's in the sediment in the lake and in the river, there was no, at that point, there was no knowledge of increased mercury or ongoing mercury poisoning, Mr. Speaker. If that is the case, we need to discover what that is, and we need to look at whether there are ways that it can be cleaned up, as I said, without doing further damage.
Yep. Supplementary.
Well, Speaker, perhaps the Premier can tell Ontarians then whether the government is actually monitoring the water in the Wabigoon River so they know definitively whether or not there is new mercury contamination in the Wabigoon River and Grassy Narrows.
Thank you. Premier.
Minister of Aboriginal Affairs. And then
Minister of Aboriginal Affairs.
Thank you. As the Premier has said yesterday afternoon, I and my Assistant Deputy Minister, scientists from the Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change, along with the Minister himself, Minister Murray, met with Chief Fobister and one of his officials. We had an agenda of some 5 items on the agenda. This mercury pollution issue was obviously one of those agendas. Items on the agenda. As a result of that meeting, I have committed to going to Grassy Narrows on June 27th. I will be accompanied by Minister Murray. We will be also accompanied by a number of Ontario scientists. And having spoken to the Minister of Health this morning, Minister Hoskins, he's rearranging or attempting to rearrange his schedule so he can come to Grassy Narrows also. We take this issue very seriously, and that's why the Premier and 3 ministers have met with the Chief and will continue.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
Speaker, to date, this Premier has refused to accept all the scientific evidence that shows that mercury in Grassy Narrows can be cleaned up. And in the meantime, Speaker, the people of Grassy Narrows and the children of Grassy Narrows First Nation continue to get sick and continue to worry. It is time to accept the truth, Speaker. It is time to begin some action on reconciliation. It has been decades. This government has been in power for over a decade. The question is, when will this Premier begin the cleanup of Grassy Narrows and the Wabigoon River?
Thank you. You seated, please. You seated, please. Thank you. Minister.
Minister Murray.
The Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The report, the very good report that we received, talks about the need for an immediate field study, in addition to the ongoing monitoring that the scientists in the Ministry of Environment have been doing both on fish and water. Minister Zimmer, Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, and I met with the Chief. We tabled a comprehensive 12-month plan for full field studies and to be able to determine how the mercury could be extracted without causing additional harm to people and to the environment. We agreed that the First Nations and that Chief Fobister would make those decisions with the support of both ministries. as Minister Zimmer said, we have
Answer.
a follow-up meeting with our team of scientists, and we will be up there working under the leadership of the First Nations, providing with them all the resources they need to properly action and solve this problem, Mr. Speaker.